What's going on, all you wild Disney Channel enthusiasts? It's your two favorite detectives back here for Cinephellas. And I'm Logan Myers. It's my good mate over there.
I'm Henry Hill. Now
And
let's
we're
take a trip back to the early 90s and review the brand new Disney Plus original film, Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
wait, wrong Chippendales. Yeah, I think the show came out in the late 80s. It was on for 3 seasons on the Disney Channel. I vaguely remember watching this as a kid. I just remember these two characters. It was all 2D animation back then. Basically, they have a detective agency and they work with two mice, Monterey Jack, another character, and then this housefly in the original series. But this time around, it's a more modern adaptation, obviously, much like Roger Rabbit. You had the animation in real life put together, kind of where Tom and Jerry failed recently with the recent film that was just an abomination. But they did this right in this brand new film. Really brought in a lot of great animation, a lot of great qualities in this, and a lot of great voice work.
The voice work, yeah, especially something that I noticed. Andy Samberg and John Mulaney as the adult versions of Chippendale. We see the younger versions of them early doing the cartoon all those years back. And then we sort of saw how that kind of fell apart on them and they drifted away from each other. There's a scene in the beginning, Dale gets an offer to do his own film and it kind of drives them apart. And then it takes all these years when Monterey Jack comes up missing to bring them together and start this new journey together. And Dale is the new CGI updated version, and then you have Chip still stuck in the 2D version that we were used to from the cartoons. So a cool little blend right away. And you mentioned the great voice work and the way that they blend in the animation, and those two things are really what made this movie a lot of fun for me. I liked how they did it. It did remind me of the old Roger Rabbit movie, but everything looked a lot better. And there's a lot of nods and winks to our childhood 90s growing up. A lot of the cartoons show up in this movie. There's a whole lot of cameos, really, from Disney cartoons, but also from some other ones that made me chuckle. And I wonder how they got the licensing rights to mention them and bring them in the films, because we see like cartoons from like DreamWorks. You even see a shot of like Butthead as like the senator. He's on a sign there, like vote for Butthead for senator. So you see a lot of cool little Easter eggs there if you're looking, and that's a fun thing about this film. With Andy Samberg and John Mulaney, they're both comedians. Andy Samberg, obviously from The Lonely Island. You get that kind of comedy throughout, and it really works well for this. They're kind of making fun of themselves throughout the whole thing, but they keep it serious enough where if you're an adult watching with your kid, you're going to have a good time and, see all these little, winks and nods to the older audience as well.
Within this Trojan horse is really some witty and adult humor. There's a lot of stuff that, young kids are not going to get. There's a lot of pop culture references, as you were talking about, from the 90s. A lot of different cartoons and characters from different properties showing up along the way without spoiling too much. It's just nonstop pop culture reference. It felt like throughout the film, you're seeing, anything in entertainment back then. It was really great. Very nostalgic for me. A particular scene with a Nintendo towards the end of the film was really cool, like an old room I saw growing up. So, throughout this film, it really sets a really great atmosphere, and I really appreciated that. John Mulaney, Andy Samberg did a great job voicing these characters of Chip and Dale. And basically, they embark on this adventure. They have to join forces once again. They've been driven apart for some time after Dale went on, did his thing. He's lonely at this point in his life. And he's doing like conventions and stuff where he'd meet his fans just to make money and hoping for a reboot, where Chip is selling insurance and really lonely. And they find out Monterey Jack has gone missing. So they have to team up and try to find their friend Monterey Jack.
They're able to team up with this human detective who's a big fan of the old cartoon. She sort of comes aboard. They unravel this mystery of this, underground kind of gang. Monterey Jack, they find out that he had, this addiction to the stinky cheese. So it shows him go into this cheese shop, and it turns out that Peter Pan, who's now going by Sweet Pete, is the kind of leader of this underground like bootlegging service. When we see that scene, we see them go into this uncanny valley as they see it, and you see early 2000s animation, and just they make fun of how bad it was, how the eyes were lifeless, they're kind of always looking forward, never looking at the person. Some really great jokes that have to do with that, like the Polar Express, like how the eyeballs are just always fixed in a position and not looking at people and kind of looked off. Very funny. And then we see Seth Rogen here, obviously he plays this character that works with Sweet Pete. But it's all about this. It's all about them running this bootleg show, basically, where they steal all these old cartoon characters and they're making bootleg reboots of these old, classic cartoons and shows, from back in the day. And they're basically making money off that. So he's old Peter Pan's grown up and he's a, a 50 some year old, like a New Yorker, Italian looking Peter Pan, who's, a criminal now. So it's kind of hilarious.
It looks like an uncle named Sal, like you're out having a, barbecue or something on Sunday. Hey, Sal, come over here. It's got like the hairy chest and the gold chain.
Gold chain. Yeah.
It is balding. It was hilarious. Like just stuff like that. Just something you don't expect from this movie, but they throw it out there. Very adult humor in this movie, which I really appreciated. Old cartoon characters are kidnapped, they're redrawn so they look a little different, bootlegged and sold overseas, and they're like forced to do these terrible like off-brand movies where like the Little Mermaid becomes a small fish lady, and there's a few other movies. Beauty and the Beast becomes Beauty and the Cursed Dog Man.
Yeah, it's a fun little adventure, a pretty short movie. It's a little less or a little over an hour and a half, but really breezes by. It's a fun watch, just pulling all the references and just the humor that the two of them have going along and trying to pinpoint, whose voice you're hearing throughout, all the characters you come across. Really cool. You mentioned the Nintendo, it shows off the old Nintendo NES system with the old Chip and Dale game that they used to have. A lot of just that's what really was fun for me, just all the humor and the work that, Andy Samberg, John Mulaney put in with Akiva Schaffer, obviously The Lonely Island. He directs all the, he's directed Hot Rod, Pop Star, all those funny movies that have the same kind of humor. And they were able to make this, kids movie work where adults can watch it too and have a great time like we did. And I really had a fun time with this. Went in with lower expectations at just going straight to streaming. We've seen how that can be, work out badly, especially with Tom and Jerry, the last, animated movie that we saw go directly to a streamer that we reviewed. And it really was very bad movie. We both did not enjoy it in the least bit. It's a movie that you want to fast forward through. Whereas this one is, a fun movie that you can stay at home on a Saturday afternoon when you don't have anything to do and, have fun watching it with your kid and, tell them about what you remember from the cartoon as a kid and, all the fun characters that we saw, Monterey Jack, I remember him, and Gadget's the girl, she's always fixing stuff. And they even had the same vehicle that they flew in the original cartoon. They, brought it back with better animation in this one. But yeah, it's just a fun movie overall. And I had a great time with it.
Yeah, this is a really great movie to watch with your kid, but also it's aimed at 30-year-olds with a lot of the humor in this film that goes over the kids' heads. But I really appreciated this. Yeah, I went into it with low expectations, like most movies these days, reboots, whatever. Some sort of property they bring back 30 plus years later, and it's usually pretty shitty. But this one really worked for me because Lonely Island guys behind this, Akiva Schaffer, really fantastic director, Andy Samberg, always funny. Not to mention all the supporting cast. I thought the animation in this was really well done. Looked really cool how they did this. There's a lot of great jabs at Hollywood and Disney in this movie. Going CGI, like getting plastic surgery. They're poking fun at Hollywood in this movie. If you pay close attention, I really appreciated that. But they still had fun with this. A really great adventure story. Really cool seeing all these old characters from TV shows and movies that we grew up with in this movie. And also a bunch of cameos of famous actors and actresses, which was really well done. I had a blast with this movie. This is definitely a movie I would rewatch. And it makes me want to go back and revisit the 3 seasons on Disney.
It sounds like we both had a great time with Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. I am going to give Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, streaming now on Disney Plus, a 4 out of 5 Chip 'n Dale Rescue Ranger hair pieces.
I would have to agree with you there, mate. I really had a great time with this as well. A movie I would definitely rewatch. My son had a great time with it, and it's a movie I recommend to all of you. So with that being said, I'll give Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers a 4 out of 5 Monterey Jack hair pieces, lads. So we're interested in hearing your guys' thoughts about Chip 'n Dale. What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What's your favorite character in the film? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to click subscribe. Also, check out these wild chipmunk enthusiasts on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and our website, Cinephellas.com, for the latest, greatest TV movie news and reviews.
Thank you guys for joining us today and watching our review of Chippendale Rescue Rangers. We want to hear what you guys think of this movie. And, let us know if you were fans of the original cartoon, what you liked about it, and all that good stuff. And let's start up a conversation, shall we? These two boys are going to get back to watch some Disney cartoons and reminisce about our 90s upbringing. So until the next time, grab your keys, latchkey kids. Cheese!